Hi, welcome along to AFTV. Of course, Arsenal are playing Manchester City this weekend. Massive, massive game. And to have a look at the game, I've got a very, very special guest. World Cup winner with England's rugby team and also one of the most well-known rugby pundits out there. I've got Will Greenwood. How you doing, Will?
Yeah, man, I'm good. It's Friday evening. Just about to watch a European final on tonight. Rugby, Bristol v Toulon, and then I'm tomorrow afternoon. It's Exeter Racing 92. It's our Champions League final tomorrow, 4:30 kickoff, and in the background I'll have my kids jumping up and down, just letting me know what the scores are, what's going on in the big game that you're talking about. So we haven't had a great start to the season. So we'll be fingers crossed we can put a few things right tomorrow.
Okay, brilliant. Well, I'm going to touch on the game in a minute, but first of all, obviously, rugby-wise, as I said, you're one of the most well-known rugby pundits around, and also a World Cup winner with England, right? You still all remember that.
Yeah. You must have been about 3 at the time. Oh, it's a long time.
Listen, I am a lot older than you think, right? And I remember it very, very, very well. And it was brilliant. And, how's rugby been? I mean, we all know with the whole lockdown with football and stuff like that. And there's been all this talk this week about financing football and stuff like that. But how has rugby dealt with? Because it's been the same thing for you guys as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, massive. I mean, everyone's just trying to react. We like to be proactive in life, don't we? We like to get ahead of the curve. The problem is in this environment, we're always behind the curve. We're always trying to catch up and fix rather than make good in advance. In sport, the footballers now talk about prehab now, don't they, rather than rehab. So they get their bodies ready so they don't get injured, so they don't have to rehab because they've done it before. We've sort of gone back in time with what we're coping with. We're in rehab the whole time. A lot of the clubs are really struggling. I mean, really struggling. Your broadcasting rights, I think, take up sort of 70% of your income. Excuse if I get some of the stats wrong. And your gate money, the money you take, the fans, the burgers, the beers, whatever it is you sell is sort of 30%. Rugby, flip it on its head. We need people in stadiums. Our broadcasting revenues aren't big enough. So a lot of the owners, the private owners like you have in football, are hemorrhaging cash. And the reality is they're not the oligarchs. And with Man City, it's not Abu Dhabi owning rugby clubs. It's wealthy people, but not exponential wealth. So it hurts them faster. So look, we're hoping that all our Premiership clubs come through intact and we'll all be there in 6-12 months time, but it's really difficult, and the longer it goes on, every time we just take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, and we think we were going to get 30,000 at Twickenham for the autumn series. Now that's gone. There's no fans in the crowd for that one. It's hand to mouth. It's you kill what you eat, and everyone's trying to think of different ways to do it. On the field, as always, it's a very different matter. The athletes just get on with it, don't they? They've taken huge pay cuts. I say huge pay cuts, 25 to 40%. Most of the players across the board, when they play for England in the autumn, that's what they'll do. 25 to 40%. The management, Eddie Jones, immediately took pay cuts. I think like Gareth Southgate did. And the quality has been good. I mean, really good. The English clubs, we've got 2 English teams in European finals this weekend. Bristol tonight, which is the Friday, and Exeter tomorrow afternoon. World Cup final last year, didn't quite get over the line, but decent young squad, loads of young kids coming through. So, all things considered, rugby's on the field in terms of quality and grassroots is in a pretty good place. We just need people back in stadium and need some cash before some major cuts are going to start taking place.
Yeah, I know. I was down by the Emirates earlier on, and I'm just looking at the place. And I'm like, how much longer can this go on for with no fans in there? But obviously, we understand the position of everything. I mean, it seems to be getting worse at the moment.
Yeah, look, and as fans, I'm a junior rugby club guy now. A little club called Maidenhead. I spend a lot of time down there. We coach. Tuesday, Thursday, we get 40 lads down there before anyone says we're not allowed 40. We have 2 groups of 20. We have coaches who are in boxes and can't sort of go outside the boxes. We size the balls every 10 minutes. But as you know, rugby is a hugely contact game. We're not doing any scrums. We're not doing any mauls. We're not doing any line-outs. We're basically playing a sort of fast form, an IPL 2020 version. We play a lot of touch rugby. But a lot of lads, a lot of girls go into rugby for the contact. They love biffing each other up and the physical aspect of it. And we've got that taken away from us a little bit. So I drive past Tupelo United Football Club and I see them playing football games, and they're sort of back to normal, playing actual matches that have relevance to their league seasons. We at lower levels are in a holding pattern, just waiting for the time when we can go. I think we're at level C at the moment. I'm not sure exactly what each level means, other than at level C you can do a little bit of contact, but not a lot. We need to get to level F, so it's 3 more letters away. And it took us 7 months to move 2 letters. So you start doing the numbers and start working out. I don't think the grassroots rugby teams, like the Maidenheads, level 2s, 3s, 4s, will be back playing competitive rugby until I think they'll end up scrapping the leagues this season at lower level, no relegation. Try and play some local games where there are no buses needed. You can go in cars, and hopefully we can do some sort of proper rugby. But the reality is September 2021 will write this whole year off, I would suspect.
That's really, really sad. Now, luckily, we've got football back. And, of course, Manchester City versus Arsenal. Manchester City got a brilliant record against Arsenal in the league. We haven't beaten City at that.
Now we have. We didn't used to, did we? I mean,
you never used to.
You got, we're a tiny speck. In a very short space of time, we have had a pretty successful go against you. Don't start forgetting the 70 years of duffing us up and just going, oh, they've won 1-0 again. I can't believe it. What a pain. So I've watched us lose at the Old Main Road. I've watched us lose at the Etihad. I've definitely watched us lose at Highbury. And I've definitely watched us lose at the Emirates. I got the full house.
And you would have watched, of course, that you lost in the semi-final of the FA Cup. So you've seen them lose at Wembley. But at the Etihad, they have been strong. And we haven't beaten you guys there since 2015. It's going to be a really good game. First of all, how did you get into supporting Man City?
I'm from Blackburn. Yeah, I'm from Blackburn, and my first real rugby club was level 2, was over in Liverpool. But my dad was an England coach, an England player, rugby. So when I was growing up, weekends, Saturdays, he was away. My mum and my aunt, long story, I'll try and keep it, are identical twins. Basically, they're still busy mates now, and virtually living in each other's pockets if they could, if COVID wasn't taking place. So I spent a lot of weekends with my cousins. And Uncle Ian and cousin James, who's a couple of years older than me, who was my hero. You always have a hero, make a hero out of your older cousin. He's a bit of a rock star. We used to go in his battered out old green Mercedes estate. I think he'd gone around the clock about 8 times. That car went forever. And he would take me to Main Road. And so because of that, and I don't want one of these players I went 30 times a year. I'm talking, I'd go once or twice a season, but that's where I went to watch my football with a blue scarf. Therefore, as you grow up, that's the one you stick with. And I was there when they were proper rubbish, and I was there, forget about Aguero's goal, I was there with Horlock and Dickoff against Gillingham in '99 at Wembley. Yeah. So I've done some hard yards, and hard enough yards that my kids, who were born at Chelsea and Westminster Hospital, you could from the labour ward, from the room my wife gave birth, you could see Stamford Bridge, and all my mates were buying me Stamford Bridge nappies and Stamford Bridge mugs. Like, no, my kids have been brought up to watch City.
Brilliant. And so there's no way anyone can accuse you of being a glory hunter. You've been there. You've been there in the rough times.
We were the seventh best team in Manchester at one stage. Macclesfield were above us.
Yeah, so definitely not a glory hunter. So you must be so happy to see the times that you're having at the moment.
Oh,
You know
I mean, can you believe, man? Can you believe just outside my side that we struck oil? We struck oil. I mean, it's a few
like that.
1,000 miles of pipeline to get it there, but unbelievable times. And I keep mentioning my kids, specifically my two boys. I think the first 4 games my eldest went to was Aguero, was Yaya beating Stoke with about the 60th minute, I think it was, in the FA Cup. Then we beat Chelsea in the Charity Shield. That year they had a lad sent off, the right back with a massive bottom, big low centre of gravity. I can't remember what he was called. He got sent off. They should have battered us that day. And then we went and won the Carabao or Milk Cup or whatever it's called. The first 4 games, literally the first 4 games we watched.
Oh, wow.
A trophy.
After all those years of you suffering.
It's not always like this, young lad. It's not always like this. But I have no doubt that Aguero goal, and when I say behind the net, I was about 30 rows back. And he was 8 at the time, my eldest. And I got no doubt that was my father. That was our father-son moment. When he's looking after me and I'm old, and he needs to, tell stories about the stuff we had when we were young and the fireside chats as my memory's going and all that sort of stuff. That's what we will talk about. I mean, the stadium. You might be able to tell me what Arsenal's Aguero moment. Oh, Mickey Thomas, of course.
Mickey Thomas.
Yeah, incredible. That's incredible. That's what they all said, and that's incredible. Right, that's incredible. It was incredible. Couldn't believe it happened. I love that program that Lee Dixon put together. 89, wasn't it?
89.
So I've got to know Lee Dixon pretty well. I've been to a couple of events. So of course you had that moment. We'd had Dickoff and Horlock, but when you have Dickoff and Horlock and it's to win the Division 2 playoff, it's not quite the same, is it? So to beat United, who turned over Sunderland that day, was, I promise you, way better, way better than winning a World Cup.
Serious?
Yeah, because people say you're mad.
Seriously?
Because
you won the World Cup. You can't compare that with the World Cup.
No, you can completely.
You won that personally.
Yeah, but I'll tell you why. Right, when you're playing in a game like that, and I'm pretty sure I think it was Lee Dixon who played the long ball up the right hand side, wasn't it, in '89? Yeah. And I think he says actually he was just trying to get rid of it. It was Lukic in goal at the time. And it might not have been Lukic. But anyway, the goalkeeper passed him the ball and Lee was like, I don't want it. And he made the best pass he's ever made his entire life. And then it's in slow motion in that video. But you can impact the game. You might need a goal. So you're thinking about your job and you're still thinking you've been coached that as long as there's 20 seconds on the scoreboard, or 20 seconds on the clock, there's enough time to rattle the scoreboard to win the game or to get level or to get back into the game. There's always time if you're making the right decision. So as a player, all I'm thinking about is make the next tackle, catch the ball from Wilkinson, ship it onto Tyndall, get around the ruck, do my job. So my brain isn't thinking highs, lows, swingometer, oh my God, chaos, carnage, we're going to lose, end of the world, we're going to win, we're going to lose, we're going to win. I'm just trying to play without quoting any given Sunday, I'm trying to play the 6 inches in front of my face and fix that problem, that I can control. When you're a fan and QPR score the most unbelievably good second to go 2-1 up, and there's 87 minutes on the clock, there's 88 minutes on the clock, and you're thinking, what's happening here? And Dzeko gives you a lifeline, but Joey Barton gets sent off, and Balotelli. That was, do you know what? You wouldn't know this as an Arsenal fan, right? And I've sort of given the answer away, right? Balotelli was at City for a number of years, okay? Not a huge amount of time. No. How many assists did Balotelli have in a City shirt?
Number 4 out of it.
One. The only assist, that tells you about his work rate, doesn't it? The only assist is the greatest assist in sporting memory. And for me, Aguero, there's a moment, you Arsenal fans will be wanting to watch, but if you go back on YouTube and look at it, he rolls around the corner and most people hit it first time. Bang, hit it, smash it, got to get it in. And he takes a little touch. which gets him a little bit of a better angle, takes him away from the sliding defender who goes to check, and then he absolutely roofs it. And the whole play. So what are you doing, Kate? You're on. She's like my wife. I love that. Makes us more. Woo! Yeah. So what was I talking about? So that moment, you can't. You're just in despair, and then there's hope, and then there's despair, and there's hope. So you go through this whole fluctuation. The whole gamut. When you're a player, the whistle goes. Yeah, it's great. But you don't live and breathe every tackle, every kick as though it's the last one you'll ever see. And so in terms of the emotional energy you use up and where it takes you mentally, playing is so much easier than being a fan.
Oh, wow. All right, well, all right, you've explained it. I would never have thought that, but I hear you.
Whoever tells you anything different is a fibber. I'd much rather be out there with the pressure, with that, than having to sit and watch with no control.
It was a great moment, that Aguero. I'd say that is the second greatest moment in league. You know, the second greatest moment to win a league.
Oh, just remind me.
Arsenal's 18.
It was Nicky Thomas, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that I'm right in saying it's really sad that the only member is it David Rocastle who's passed away. Is he the only member who's not still with us? And I know that Lee Dixon's spoken so brilliantly about what he did and what character, amazing person, human being he was. So, but am I right in saying, obviously, you did it at Anfield?
We did it at Anfield.
We did it against QPR. So you
did yours against QPR, which you was expected to win anyway. It was a dramatic win in the end, but we did ours away at Anfield. At the time when we were playing Liverpool, they were all conquering. So,
look, I get it.
I always argue with City fans, but I rate our one slightly better.
Yeah, no, I take that completely and totally understand. I'm not going to agree with you, but I see what you're saying.
But it's all on this weekend now. City have got off to a bit of a funny start, haven't they? I mean, the defeat against Leicester, that was a real shock.
Yeah, well, it sort of goes back to actually the Champions League, where again it just didn't quite work for us, and you sort of felt that would spill into this season. And again, you'll catch me out in terms of some of the names, but our back four, when Company goes, I mean, it's like he's a titan. He's like Tony Adams, Martin Keown for you. I get it. They're gods for you. Vincent Kompany is a god for us. You take him out there, and Laporte then starts picking up injuries. And as fans, we're always going to have different views. I really like Zinchenko, but no longer required. I just think we're too easy to score against. We can't do what you lot did for so many years and have a donut and have a zero in the goals conceded column. And you do that with the quality of players around nowadays, and you leave yourself open. And Wolves did the back-to-back double on us last year with Traore. You put pace against us on the counter, and we struggle. So that's about as technical as I'm going to get. And up front, Sergio's not playing, and we're missing.
Yeah.
So I'm going in. It's not the end of the world for us at the moment. We've had some amazing years. We're not what we were, but what we were was incredible. We scored 100 points to win a league. But I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We're still pretty mega. We're just it's all relative, isn't it?
So you still fancy you to win the game?
At home, yeah. Look, Man City. You look at that squad at home, and I know you'll say that I think the stats probably say that actually by removing crowds, there's a lot more away wins or away points being achieved than normally because there isn't the crowd element to it. But you'd have to be and we live as optimists. It's the hope that killed us for all those years. You'd have to find a bloody miserable northerner to back Arsenal at the Etihad to win. You really would. You have to back our lads.
Okay, I'm backing Arsenal. You know what?
I get that. But
no. Listen, I wouldn't normally back us. I fancy us. I fancy it could be a shock in that game.
I love what Arteta's done, you guys. You know, I watched a lot of the Sky stuff, and you know, I think was it the first game back in the restart, and David Luiz had an absolute hour off. But Arteta is one of these modern managers, the youngsters who comes through, and the team spirit's great, and what he's done with Aubameyang, and got him to stay and sign, and you look like a collective, you look like a team, you fight, you dog it out, and which is what you'd be used to as Arsenal fans, right? But what you might say is you haven't had that for a while, and I see that there now. So I see how difficult you are to beat, and it'd be an absolute belter, And we've won one, drawn one, lost one this season in the league. So there's anything could come out of that. It could be 8-8, or it could be 0. Yeah, who knows? But
I think it's going to be a great game, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. You know, just before you go, I have to ask you this, right? Being a rugby player, right? Rugby. I even used to play a bit of rugby back in the day. I know how rough a sport that is, how tough, hard, the knocks you guys take. Right? What do you think, right, when you see these footballers?
Oh, no, don't get me going.
I'm asking you this, man. When you see the footballers barely touched, you know, falling over, rolling around after all the knocks that you took, right, when you play rugby.
You'll remember, but probably because it was the most irritating year as an Arsenal fan. When was the year Chelsea won the Champions League twice recently, have they?
Once.
So it was with Di Matteo in charge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right, and Drogba was up front, and he was key, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Right. I went to the first leg of Chelsea-Barcelona at Stamford Bridge.
Oh, yeah. I remember that game.
And Drogba scored in about the 104th minute. And you go, why was there 104 minutes? Because Drogba was on the floor for 14 of them. Right? I promise you, and I know he's an amazing bloke, and what he's done with, I think it's Ivory Coast, an Ivory Coast player, what he's done back home to support and his community and is incredible. So, but I promise you, I walked out that night at Stamford Bridge, and I thought to myself, I don't think I'm ever going to watch another game of football in my life. I can't do this. I cannot watch that. I just can't watch that happen. But then, you know, so I've obviously not stopped watching, and I've gone back to it. I do the ones that get me. I sort of get, if you get a touch in the box, right? I do sort of get that. The one that gets me is going down like Barnes. Is it Barnes or like which character does Willem Dafoe play in Platoon? When they leave him behind, and then they realise Tom Berenger goes, he's dead, I've seen him dead. And they're in the helicopter, and suddenly he's trying to get to the helicopter, and he goes down, and it's just...
Yeah, I remember that scene.
It's just...
and he's in slow motion at this shooting.
Oh, man, I'm watching it go, and they've done it again, and a minute later, they're running around. It's like Lazarus. They're just sprinting around because there's a chance at the other end. And that's the thing. I sort of get that if you get fouled, and if you're a good player like Aubameyang, and people are kicking lumps out of you, you go down. And I'm not saying, by the way, Aubameyang goes down like so many. That's the thing. And I know that was meant to be a 30-second answer, but you've got me on my... I'm like this going, get up, you absolute...
I had to ask you that because I just look at it sometimes. I think rugby players must just look at footballers.
Yeah, but right. So some of the whisper this really quietly, like, don't tell any of the rugby lads I'll let you in on this. People are starting to dive in rugby.
How can you dive in rugby?
Mate, so if you get a little trip or you get a little nudge, that, you know, there's just starting to try and, what's the best way of putting it, pull the wool over the referee's eyes in a way
You can't have that in rugby. You can't have that in rugby.
that wouldn't have been thought of a few years ago.
You can't have that in rugby. You can't.
No.
You can't.
Yeah, I blame you lot. All bad stuff comes from football.
Well, Will, listen, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to the game. Hope the rugby goes well for those two teams as well. And no doubt you're going to be working on those, right?
Yeah, I'll be in and around. Love it. And, you know, played all my life, but I was a fan before I played, and I'll be a fan long after. I'd go to the alley pally with the darts. I love sports. So I will consume whatever sport's available this weekend. But my City friends will have to just give me a little bit of understanding that I'll probably miss the first half tomorrow because it's the European rugby final between Exeter and Racing United 2. I'll pick it up at 4-0 City, so it should be all right.
All right then. Thanks very much. And Will, thank you very much. I wish you all
my friend. Take it easy.
Thank you.
Cheers, Robbie.
Brilliant. Thanks. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Always a pleasure to come on and talk my rubbish football. So thank you.
No, you were brilliant. Thank you very much.
Cheers, bud.
Masks. These are the new normal, but these ones ain't normal. They've got an antiviral, antibacterial finish, and they are in Arsenal-inspired colours. These are the masks from Mask FC. The link is in the description right now. If you want to get one, use the code AFTV to get a 10% discount.